Can I just jump in there? Um, about 2 years ago, I reviewed a game. Not going to name the publisher or the game itself, but I received a massive document telling me what I couldn't talk about, what I couldn't touch on, um, and then they told me the issues that were there that they didn't want me mentioning, in regards to stuff that are being fixed in day one patch. And when I was playing the version of the game at the time, I encountered these issues. Now, lo and behold, when the game came out, when I went back and revisited it after my review went out, the issues were fixed. But generally, when it comes to publishers, they tell you what you can and cannot do. Like when I received my review copy for Biomutant, when I received my review copy for Returnal, my review copy for Ratchet and Clank, I had like a huge document telling me key areas, what's currently the everything's in, and what you can and can't talk about. Like certain aspects are they don't want you talking about if there's like really massive plot twists later on in the game. They won't want you talking about that because they want the gamers to experience that for themselves. But if certain things are currently not working, like there was in Biometer, for example,
Hmm.
they made that perfectly clear in the briefing that it's just not going to be ready for launch. And if you finish the game, because they promised it for launch, and they came out openly when they were releasing the game and said it at the time. But I could have easily taken it and said, well, they promised it for launch. And I saw a few reviewers actually criticizing them for certain things that were in the document that they clearly said wasn't going to be available for launch, but they were still criticizing them for that, saying, if it's not ready, don't release it or don't say it. And I get the don't say it part, but they also came out and said, hey, it's not ready, but it will be ready in like a month after launch. And they were still criticized for even those little things that they clearly stated in the document that this is how it is, this is where it's at, this is when we're planning on releasing that aspect of a fix. Um, but I still saw reviewers going around and because I watched a lot of Biometer reviews,
Hmm.
and I'm sure they all received the same document I did. I can't imagine them receiving a different one. And there's a bunch of stuff in there that they were saying like, we know about this, and this issue, but it's getting resolved, and it was resolved. But because we didn't have the day one patch, we had those problems. But they were being harshly criticized about it, despite being given notice. And I think, in my opinion, that's wrong. If you worded it I mean, the fact that you're speaking about it already is bad enough. But if you were going to talk about it, at least preface it and say, this is the situation. I did encounter these bugs, but I have been assured by the developers that a fix is coming day one.
I've heard people respond to that kind of like criticism and reviews to tell reviewers not to take early copies, right? Like, okay, well, just don't agree to their terms and review the game on your own dime. That makes it more authentic. But the
Of
reality
course,
from a metrics perspective, from a metrics perspective,
you
um,
can't do that.
it you get crushed. Like it's like uh despite like I would say that yeah, the more engaged, the more active your community that like actually from a content creator's perspective like that cares about what you think about a review or a game or what have you. Yeah, they do care and they're going to be the ones who do, but essentially you miss out on that huge market, that exposure market. And I'm not saying that you should people should, reviewers should compromise their principles, because at the end of the day, if you don't have principles, then I don't think you have a review. Like if you're just being a puppet, a marketing, an amplifier to the PR company, then okay, as long as I know that about you, I'll just click on skip this video and go to the next one. But I think that there's still that aspect, which is why like to answer like, well, why would people accept those terms if that's the regard? And it's like there's a business side to the content creation,
Yeah,
even if it's not like financial, even if you didn't monetize the video at all, you miss out on huge amounts of exposure. And I've seen lots of people talk about it. It's a weird business and a weird line. But Art, thank you for coming on to the show. We might have you back I want to take some time now to jump into a New World itself. Let's see here, remove, boop. All right. So thanks, guys. That was I love this podcast so much because it's just so fun to kick back and talk about this stuff casually and more. But now what we want to do is we want to jump into some New World. We might even, I don't know if we'll get to the notes that they released for part 2, namely because the fact that the show's already at 50 minutes and, well, it's it's a long show. Like, all right, so yeah, it's like it is what it is in this regards.
But we're having fun, right?
We're having fun. That's the whole point of the show itself. We're just to sit back and talk with you guys and have hopefully produce a show worthy to while you're grinding out on some loot out there in the world that you're enjoying the discussion and hopefully getting some fun thoughts. But thank you so much for checking out this highlight from Epic Loot Radio. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe button, and more. And check out our other channels, Ginger Gaming Radio, Ginger Prime, and Work to Game for more content. Thanks for being here, and you're awesome.